Well, looky here. A banana. Oh, it's not a banana, but it's broke. If you had seen my Instagram, you had seen the video that the customer sent me that this thing was broke. It looks like a hairline crack, about that white. Says there's other issues, which their other welder did, which they tried to fix that, which I'll be repairing as well. Yum. Okay, well, now I know what I'm doing. Well, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm gonna get it done anyway. It's interesting. Look at this. It's cracked at the factory weld. It's crazy. And this one did too. Huh. I don't know exactly how heavy these things are, and it'd be nice to take it back to my shop, but my shop is full, so I don't have room. I'd have to do it outside. So if I'm doing it outside, may as well just do it here outside. So we'll have to see. But now you know what I'm doing. I'm repairing a banana. All right, see you guys. Okay, so we got that set up. Got my son helping me today, which is nice. Now, while this looks like a horrible mess, and it actually is, if you sit back and look at the job in itself and try and, you know, make a plan, it's actually not that tough, you know, step by step. So in this case, we have a couple of good reference points. We have this reference point right here to here, and same with here to here, somewhat to here, at least this line, if anything, on that side. And then very similar, had a little bit of a stretch here, not so bad. Then we have possibly this reference point right here to this reference point right here. And what I mean by that is that now instead of trying to bend this back in place, I can actually cut it apart. And what I will do from here forward is I will cut any unnecessary, except for those reference points, out of the way. That way it has enough clearance. So let's say I detach this piece, I can just touch it back in place where it goes and put some tacks, and it'll hold it in position as closely as I can as to where it started originally. Even with this twist here, I will cut all this out here. That way it's free, and it has these reference points to touch. Being as I'm going to replace this piece and that piece, I can actually cut around this piece here and piece there, not even have to worry about gouging it, just to break it free from itself, and then start fresh once we make those contact points, or the original contact points, touch. And so it's really not that tough of a job. It is a lot of work, but you just have to think of these things you know, step by step, and it's actually just not so bad. So this other issue up here, this is going to be a video up on its own, because this I will have to replace big sections of that as well. So for now, my son and I will get after this here, and I hope you guys follow along. All right, so here we go. So in this case, up here, you'll cut in here and then just go on the inside of this, somewhere out here, and go ahead and cut it so we have enough room to mess around. And that way this is easier to cut off later. So here, I'm going to cut this way and down. What's behind you? Wait, and start slow. You need the ground. Start again at the beginning. Make sure it establishes the rut first. Okay, so we got a lot of cutting out of the way, and as mentioned before, we're going to try and leave some reference points to attach to. So in this case, that little crack right in there, or sorry, that little tear right there, and that little spot right there will be a reference point, and so will this down here. And this, since I cut off, it won't exactly touch, but it'll be pretty close. So we're going to clean this up. I think we're good on this end. We may trim this guy away a little bit. That way it doesn't interfere. And we've cut enough away here, that away. Clean that up just a little bit as well. Sorry, right here. And then try and stick it back on there and tack it in place. Take some measurements, make sure everything's all looking good, and start replacing sides. One of the first ones I think I might do is, you know, actually I don't know. I'd like to probably start with the bottom, but that's a lot of work. Let me see, we'll think about that. I'll get that tacked on there first and see, maybe the sides are first, who knows. Then I'll do the top, then I'll do the bottom, in that order, who knows. But we shall see. All right, more work coming up next.
Are you thinking?
Yeah, bit.
Yeah, good job. Look, I got a little close.
Okay, well that looks great. What are you doing over here? All right, so we cut the center section out. I got a little too carried away, got a little close to this edge here. So, my fault. But what's nice is from here, now I can see the separation line between here, and I can use a plasma cutter and shoot that way. And come up here, either that or cut up with a cutting disc like this. Once I make this line nice and square. And then what'll be left is to blend. Turn the fan off, please. To blend this weld, sand it flat. In other words, back to the original parent metal. Same thing over here. I might have to get a little closer right in here so I can plasma cut that way, or R gouge it, right? Same thing, but since I got the plasma, just run the plasma. Works fine. And so, like I mentioned, the reference points here and here, that's good. I'm going to try and save as much material as I can on these side pieces so I don't have to cut so much. So I may end up just cutting just right in this area. This piece will overlap up to here. Let's see, we got rain coming. Same thing over here. So it's all looking good. As far as getting this line square across here, you know, you may want to measure there, but eh. So I'm gonna do the combination. Once we put this piece back on here, like that, and touching those points, that'll be pretty close. Then I can use this back edge as a measuring distance from here to there to mark my line across, and hopefully come out pretty square. And if not, no big deal, doesn't hurt anything, but it'll be fine. When I put it back on, of course I'll put a backing plate here. When I cut this side piece off here, I'll put a backing plate here, put a backing plate here. It'll all be really nice. I'll even be able to put a backing plate on this piece in here. So all the pieces will have backing plates so that it stays, so that I have something to weld to real solid like. So it should be good. So now it's just a matter of cleaning these up, cleaning those points, and reinstalling that piece on there to get it where it's supposed to go. Once it's tacked, I'll start cleaning all these things off and do that next. All right, here we go. Okay, so as you saw there, me cutting out these little notches in both those areas, what's happening is as this boom skin tore, it kind of warped it and bent it. And so now we're using this back edge as a reference and this front edge here and up here as a reference. And so if you look really closely, it's pretty much touching there and it's touching right here. So that lets us know that we're right on the money as far as parallel that way. So that means I can most likely tack this section right here so for it to hold it in place. I think we're looking good. Since I'm going to be cutting this piece out anyway, I'll be cutting it back here and back here. I'll be able to repair that nicely. So that's a very good sign. We're looking really nice and parallel. So that's good. All right, we'll tack it there and then we'll do that on the next side as well. Okay, so things are looking good. We got made sure that this area here is parallel or flat, and same thing here. I measured from this hole here to this hole here, comes out to 92 inches. Same thing over here, there to there. So that was working out really good. So the next step is I'm going to measure from this point here, this edge, to somewhere right in here, both sides. Measure from this whole edge here and create a square line there and trim that off. And as I mentioned earlier, we'll be cutting this that way and cutting it off, cutting this off, probably gouging this off, and then you know, being as I cut some here, I actually shouldn't have cut that much, but that's okay. So we'll put another little bridge tack, little piece of metal to bridge over that for now, so I can loosen this tack as I tack the top plate on. Once I tack the top plate on, then I'll be free to cut these guys. I'll cut just past this here, just past the inner backing plate, and then we will attempt to flip this guy over and finish out the bottom. So pretty simple repair, just an awful lot of work. And again, as I've mentioned in other videos, this is not a how to do it, but this is just a how I'm doing it. I don't know if there are any procedures on this, but this is the procedure I'm choosing to do and make. So far so good. All right, let's keep trucking. Okay, I'm at the next step here, and what I'm going to be doing is cutting these side replacement pieces. And I was trying to figure out which way would look best. If you put a square against this bottom this way, this line is skewed that way. If you put it across the top, the line is skewed that way, and so it won't match this factory weld look. What's happened here is that the crack has come so far back. This is part of a cast piece that's welded onto the center pin or the tube here, and so now I will have to be marking this way far back and trying to, this is all one piece, so radius is really nice, so that's going to be a bit of a concern, but it is what it is at this point. So in order to try and mimic this line right here, my thoughts were to mark the center line here and mark the center line of this weld right here, which is 20 inches across, right in this area, and a good spread. Anyway, so I'll mark it at 10 inches there, and then mark a line this way. And with that, I will base my square off of that line, and it should mimic this weld at that angle, I should say. So, will it work this way? Yes. Will it work this way? Yes, but it just won't look right. Look kind of funny. So I'm going to try and make it look as best as possible. And so I think that's what I'll do. I was struggling with this here for a minute. I was suffering from paralysis from analysis. I don't know if you've ever heard that phrase, but it's when you overthink things and you get kind of stuck. So I was stuck, like I said. Yes, it'll work. It just looked funny. So mark the center line. Should look a little bit better. All right, so that's next. I guess let's just face it, I do better with a torch. That's crazy. Okay, so now I'll cut that centerpiece there that goes in there and tack it in place. Normally I like to do the bottom piece first while it's on the machine. That way I can do all the welding from the top and then put the lid on as a cap. And so that's why I'm waiting on this top piece. I'm gonna try and replace the side piece, at least tack it in place, see where it goes. Same thing with the other side, tack it in place, and then replace the bottom piece, and then replace the top. I'm kind of gone in backwards order because I did the top. I cut the top first, but we can still work around that. And I really don't like the way this came out here with the plasma cutter. Didn't have enough power to push through. I guess the arc itself is only so long, then it relies on the air to push it through. Whereas with a torch, you know, once it's melting that molten puddle, then it can go very deep. So I would have been better off just using the torch. That's what I'll do on the other side. So let me clean this up, cut that patch piece and backer plates, and we'll be ready to go.